Seventh Grade by Gary Soto follows a very traditional plot. There's a brief introduction, after which we find out the conflict. There's plenty of rising action, which leads to, ultimately, a climax, and some very brief falling action. Other parts of the story that are important, there's a very minor secondary character, and third-person narration. That means instead of the character narrating the story by saying I and me, we are told the story of Victor from someone else's point of view. This person has what is called limited omniscient powers, which means he can know the thoughts of one character in the story, the main character. He doesn't know the inside thoughts of the other characters. The first paragraph of the story is the introduction. We are introduced to the situation, which is that it is the first day of 7th grade. The conflict, which we quickly learn, is that Victor is desperate to be cool, to look cool, so that the girl of his affections, Teresa, will like him. We also meet that very small secondary character, Michael Torres, Victor's friend. He is important because he demonstrates a key part of the theme. Michael is convinced that if he scowls like the models that he sees in magazines and on TV commercials, that the girls will like him. We'll learn more about that lesson later on. As part of the rising action, Victor takes Michael's advice. When Teresa says hi to him, instead of saying something nice, he responds with, "Yeah, that's me." Victor quickly regrets his decision and wonders why he didn't just say something nice. There is more rising action when Victor tries to catch Teresa's eye while he is at lunch, but the biggest part of the story happens when they both go to French class. They get to sit near each other, which makes Victor excited, and in an effort to show off, he lies when the teacher asks if anyone in the class already knows French. This leads to an embarrassing exchange with Mr. Bueller, in which Victor tries to pretend to speak French. Victor realizes that everyone in class must think that he's a fool, especially Teresa. Victor wishes he could just go home or just start the day over again because it's all ruined. However, he quickly remembers that he has to go back to get his math book from Mr. Bueller's class and runs into Teresa there. Victor hopes beyond hope that Mr. Bueller doesn't confront him about his fake French, but luckily for Victor, Mr. Bueller gets it. There's a brief flashback in which Mr. Bueller remembers trying to court a girl in college. He didn't have a car, but he borrowed cars every time he went on a date with her. This, he thought, made her think he must be rich if he has so many cars. He realizes that Victor must be trying to impress Teresa, and he does not embarrass him in front of her. In the climax of the story, Teresa, being only a 7th grader herself, didn't realize that Victor was faking the whole time. She compliments him on his ability to speak French. In fact, she wants to know if he could help her out in French class. Victor falls back in love with Teresa all over again and realizes that Mr. Bueller is a pretty good guy. In the very brief falling action, Victor swears that he is going to learn French so that he can help Teresa and spend time with her. He heads to the library to check out French textbooks. Your assignment is going to be this. Write a third-person account of your first day of 7th grade. It doesn't have to be a complete story. However, I would like you to consider that you have to write third person, so use your name and don't use pronouns such as I or me or we, and write about what you think the first day of 7th grade will be like for you. Please feel free to take creative liberties. Be funny, be silly, be dramatic, make up characters if you want. If you want to make it into a full-blown short story, remember the elements in Gary Soto's 7th grade. He kept it very simple. There was one main conflict, a very minor secondary character, along with Teresa, a few brief scenes of rising action, the climax, and some very brief falling action. Even if you write what just amounts to a scene from a short story for your first day of 7th grade story, I would love for you to be able to share it in our Google Meet meeting. The next one we have will hopefully be Friday. Thank you for all of your hard work and happy writing!